Welcome back to Chocolate and Spice Talk. I'm Nidhi, your spicy, energetic host, and today we are diving into something deeply personal spirituality.
Hi, I'm Neha, your calmer host. We are two sisters who grew up in a very traditional Indian home and who are now trying to figure out what existence and spirituality means to us. And we hope this resonates with you.
All right, Neha, let's just get into it. When you think of spirituality now, what comes to mind? Has that changed from when you were younger?
Yes, to a great extent. In the sense that actually, I think I've had phases, and this is again something, Nidhi, you may or may not be aware of because I have become aware of this only now, very, very recently, as I thought back to my life. So I do feel like pre puberty, I was a spiritual person. It may sound funny to think like, how could you be spiritual as a kid? But what I mean by spirituality is I was more mindful, I was thoughtful, and I was myself. I could sit with myself and I could be myself. And in my mind, that's a core to spirituality. And I lost it as I reached puberty and I started molding myself into whatever I thought the world or people around me wanted me to be. And that's when I lost touch with myself and basically became a very mechanic spiritual, I would say, where, oh, here are the mechanics of spirituality. Here are the rituals that must be done and do it or and do it because everybody, and not because I feel it. And that was lost for a very long time for me. In fact, after puberty, all the way through teenage years, all the way through my youth, until I was about to hit 40. And that's when, for one reason or the other, which we can get into later, just as I was about to hit 40, there were changes in my life that made me just take a pause and really try to understand myself and really try to understand the world that I live in and go very deep. And that's when I feel I regained my understanding of spirituality. And since then, I'm more in my mid 40s now. And since then, I'm on this path where I'm taking my time to feel it and grow and become a more spiritual person.
You were always very comfortable with yourself. Like that's something I remember from the time you were little. You had your own comfort zone, but you were so comfortable being alone. That is something I never was. Like whether you call it extrovertness or whether you call it being over friendly, I love being surrounded by people. So I don't think in my early childhood I ever had a concept of spirituality. For me, it was more like what our parents told us to do, like go light a diya, go light a candle, touch elders' feet, or go to temple, go do a prayer thing. For me, those were the rituals or traditions that we were told to do. I never asked why. I just did it because it was expected from me. And I would say that was kind of a discipline that I thought was spirituality. But now obviously things are different now. I just feel for me it is less about external rituals, it is more about internal awareness, and it's feeling grounded, connected, and knowing when to let go. So spirituality for me in this phase of my life is all about self-love, self-care, prioritizing myself, and really getting to a good point with my family, with my friends, with my community.
That's
So
that's great. Yeah. And you're so right. Like when I think about myself as a spiritual child, like especially in my childhood, it is a lot about connections, which is another point that I think a lot about as a spiritual person, which is I was a very tactical, like how do I say, like a I like to touch things, I like to feel things, and I like to connect with things. And that's how I was as a kid. If you remember, I used to always like to do things with my hand. I would read a lot of books because I could immerse myself in another person's story so completely. I would get lost in it. I would connect with animals. Like I could sit and look at a fish for hours. And that was kind of like the thoughtlessness or thoughtfulness, however you want to phrase it, that I really appreciate having intrinsically, and then unfortunately losing it, and then having to work so hard to get back. Um, but yeah, so that's a journey. And what does spirituality, like you already started on that topic, but what does spirituality look in your life today?
I think spirituality for me really means being alive. Like, I mean, as you said, there was a moment in time, and I think we'll talk about it. Like, we kind of lose in touch because we get so busy in the hustle of our life. But I sometimes now I feel that we are a part of something bigger, and I'm not talking about religion or something. It's deeply human. It's like the realization that we are just a blip in the universe, and what I do still matters. And that's like the big thing, is like, what I do at work matters, what I do at home matters. So that is a spirituality for me. And I also, as I'm getting older, there's one understanding that I have now is we all have limited time. So not take things for granted. And I know that's like, I'm talking about death, and like the truth of life is death, but like it's very grounding to know that you have limited time and you can make an impact and you can pay it forward. So for me, a lot of that is spirituality, whether it's doing something good for the environment, connecting to community, and so on. And you know what? And the way I practice it right now is the first thing is meditation. And I know meditation has so many different meanings, but for me, meditation means different things on different days. Sometimes I just sit with myself quietly for 10 minutes, just with a cup of tea before I start my day. There are other days when I do guided meditation with like maybe an app or something. And there are other days where I just go for a walk outside. So it's like calmness of the brain is what I call spirituality now, because life gets so busy and my mind is always racing and I'm multitasking. And the other portion that I did want to talk about for spirituality is, because this is something new to me, is how I'm trying to have an open mind. I was definitely not like this. I was more like a closed off person. Even though I was extroverted, even though I am extroverted, I still had a circle. And that circle had the people with same kind of beliefs, same kind of comfort zone. But now I'm trying to connect with people who have different perspective, whether it's on religion, it's politics, it's approaches to parenting, it's how people think about success, money, gender roles, relationship. It's like keep an open mind, listen to different perspective. I'm still obviously connected with like-minded people, but just to keep an open mind. And that is something your son Aryan has also helped me understand on, how just understanding different perspective and having empathy for me is spirituality right now. So I'm very proud of myself from where I where I was and where I've reached, but it's just keeping an open mind.
That's beautiful. That's the practical essence, practical application of spirituality. And I'm so glad you mentioned about my son Aryan. I have learned a lot of things from him as well, especially being open minded and more aware and more understanding. So kudos to that kid. um, for me, I would like to share a bit about my move back into spirituality because everything you said resonates with me. So, in my opinion, I lost my spirituality the moment I stopped listening to myself, and that was long, long, long back, 30 years back. I listened to everybody, but I didn't listen to myself, didn't listen to my body, what I truly wanted. And, like there's a balance. You can listen to others, you can understand what the world wants, and still understand yourself. And my balance tilted in very much the other direction, and I lost myself. So, when I was like about 39 or something, the main reasons I shifted to that was as my son grew older, right? Like he was about to go to college. He was in high school at that time. And I had time, one. And I have been, like I've talked in other podcasts, I have associated myself very strongly with motherhood. And with my son not needing me as much, I was like, who am I? Right? Like that, I actually had a proper identity crisis. It's like, who am I? What am I doing? And that's what led to this, like seeking this path. Um, and very, very luckily, it was serendipity. I do not know the exact moment or how, but I discovered a Buddhist monk called Thich Nhat Hanh, and he changed my life. I might tear up, fair warning, because I generally don't like talking about him because he has truly helped me grow. I don't think I can talk. Great.
No, actually, this is a new story for me. So
Yeah.
I had never heard. You have, I think you have mentioned it, and since spirituality is new to me, I was not probably paying attention to what you were saying earlier. So I have no clue.
Okay.
I have heard this name before. So yeah. So
Yes, I am calmer now, so I think I can control my emotions. Yeah, so just for those who may not know about him, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's not with us anymore. He's dead. He was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, a leader in this space, and his his thoughts and the way he spoke, all of that truly resonated with me. Like I listen to a lot of people, I read a lot of books, but it doesn't touch me. I'm like, okay, very scientifically, logically, I analyze it and I'm like, yes, no, yes, no. When he spoke, somehow it became me, like it was intrinsic. It went inside me. And so that's why I appreciate it so much. And it may be the time of my life, or it may be him or his teachings, I'm not sure. So two things stand out for me from what he said. One is what we call mindfulness. But when I started on my mindfulness journey, I was like, oh, I gotta sit, i gotta I gotta meditate for 5 minutes. I am mindful. And then I recognized, like, what's the point? I'm mindful for 5 minutes and the rest of the day I'm not. Like, what's the point? So I started questioning the even need of this mindfulness. And then when I listened to Thich Nhat Hanh, I realized, oh, mindfulness is not a thing, it's life, the only way to live. Like, you cannot live in the past, you cannot live in the future. You got only 1 second, and that's the second that you are in. And that was like a light bulb moment for me, because I truly started feeling it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know half my life. I've reached a half point of my life. Sorry, this is my dog Millie enjoying her water
what?
bowl. So that's what you're listening to in the background, probably. Um, but I realized, like, oh, wait a minute. I do not know a long part of my life, because I was not there in that moment. I would often be somewhere else, even when I'm there. And then I was like, okay, I am going to make a very mindful attempt to not do that, which is when I'm talking to you, when you're talking, I am nowhere else but here listening to you. When I'm petting Millie, my dog, I'm looking at every little hair or golden hair of her body. Like, I'm looking into her eyes and really being there, and so on and so forth. So, that, in my opinion, is mindful. Same thing goes for brushing teeth, so that's what he says. And then the second point is connectedness, which again, like, deeply resonated with me, maybe because I'd started off that way in my childhood, which is he talks about we're all connected. If you look at it scientifically, it is a literal fact. We are made of particles and atoms and dust that could have been from a galaxy far, far away, right? So we are connected at that level, and we're connected at a very human, living being, non living being level. And if that is true, how amazing is that? I am connected with everybody. I am connected with this chair I'm sitting on, not because I'm sitting on it, but because somebody designed it, somebody stitched it together, somebody shipped it, somebody brought it to my home. They're all part of the journey of this chair. And so I'm now connected with everybody who made this chair. And so my understanding of connectedness increased tremendously. And my kindness, like my ability to be kind to myself and to everybody else, including what we call things like a pen or an object or a bird, like, or a leaf. All of that increased because I'm now able to appreciate it more. I'm talking a lot, but basically, what I wanted to say was
Yeah.
this is how inspired I felt. And like, I was like closer to 40 when I discovered the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. And there's another thing I will say, just because it's something I don't really share, but it was amazing. Often I've heard people say when somebody dies and they're not close to them, they've never met them, but they feel it. When Thich Nhat Hanh died a few years back, I felt betrayed. I was like, I felt so sad. I was like, how? I've never met him. I only just discovered him. I've only just listened to him on some YouTube videos. and read parts of his quotes. That's the entirety of my connection to him. But I am still not able to come to terms with the fact that he's dead. And so I make an extra effort to truly be mindful and at least try to live the way he had suggested. So for me, yeah, that is like my journey of spirituality, and that has led me to open my heart and my mind to a lot of things. So I do listen to other teachers as well. For example, Dr. Deepak Chopra is another spiritual leader, and he approaches it from a very logical, rational, scientific point of view, almost medical point of view, and it is a great perspective. He's almost saying the same thing. He's almost saying things about perspective, construct. Our understanding of the world is not really objective. It can never be objective. It is our own story in our own mind. But he's talking about very logical things, and that's another perspective. So I keep myself open. Then Sadhguru, and then recently I told you I got Gitanjali, the book from Rabindranath Tagore, and I got the vintage version of that book. So it is literally published in 1913, the actual book from there. And it is about interconnectedness because when I hold that book, I just get emotional just because then I feel like I am there. I'm in that moment where probably Rabindranath Tagore thought about it and wrote about it, and I can feel it. And so that's a tactical part of it. And so that's how I start connecting. So I'm trying to keep my mind as open as possible to, more thoughts, more opinions, and then recognize and take things that resonate the most deeply with me. So that's where I am right now. It's like a long, long path.
No, yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's like also serendipity. Like you said that you found this monk, this guru in a time of life where you were able to connect. Maybe if you found him in your early 20s, probably no connection, right? Like you found him at the right time when you probably needed it. And that brings me to the topic of manifestation and energy. How do you feel about that? So, do you believe in energy manifestation or the whole universe has your back thing?
That is a very deep question. I'm probably going to answer it in a way that is neither here nor there because I am figuring it out for myself. I have talked earlier about the idea of vision board, which is, you know, I do believe that you have to imagine things or want things to ultimately go there. You may or may not go there, and you have to be okay with that. But if you don't imagine it, you're probably not going to go there. And whether it is the universe that's conspiring, like it's said in that book, Alchemist, or you are constantly working towards it and therefore you are connecting with the right people. I don't know. There
Mhm.
is definitely, I truly believe in fortune and luck. Um,
Yeah.
just because you could bang your head against the wall all you want. If it is not to happen, it will not happen. That much I believe in. You can work very hard, you may not get it. And so the only thing that we can control is our own reaction, truly, which is to say, well, it was not meant to be. um, so I know your question was more about universe and manifestation. So the answer to that is I don't know. I don't know if like the universe keeps thinking, oh Neha, you had this plan, let me work towards it, because there are so many billions of people who have their own plan, and I hope universe helps every single person. Humans would be very tired though. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
jesting about a topic that's a very serious topic. What I mean to say is that I think it's all here in our mind and in our heart. And the more we approach people, like I want something, I think Nidhi can help me. So I'm going to reach out to you. I want something, I think these people can help me. This is how I can approach it. And that's how I feel like universe can come together. And then of course luck, which I don't know how that happens. That's manifestation. I don't know how that happens. So
Yeah, I
weird
mean,
answer, but there it is.
you're right in saying I do agree with that part. It's like you have to put yourself out there, only then the universe will work towards it.
How will the universe know otherwise?
Exactly. So in my mind, positive energy attracts positive energy. So
Yeah.
it's like, you put your best foot forward and you will get something good. Like I do believe that universe has your back. And I don't know if I ever told you, I actually got a subscription of like a note from universe. It's like a company that sends you a note in your inbox every morning. Like this morning's note was, remember Nidhi, I agreed to be the magic and you agreed to be the musician, so let's do this, love the universe. And sometimes it says like, there have been no mistakes, those were just practice swings for the home runs that are coming. I mean, who wouldn't want to wake up to these positive stories? But I do believe that universe has your backs, and there are things you can control and things you cannot control. And it is the manifestation is something that I often do, and I really wish I would do it on a daily basis. And even if it's manifesting me having a good day. Usually, very selfishly, I only do manifestation on days when I have something important. And when I say manifestation, what I mean is, let's say at work, I have a very important presentation and I'm already jittery, I'm nervous, I've practiced, but I don't know. It's very important for my career. This is just an example I'm giving you. And in the morning, I'll sit for 5 minutes, and the way I manifest is I manifest giving that presentation or working, and it's going really well. It's like all the good things that are happening. So I'm putting this energy out there and manifesting it. So, and I do it on very important events in my life. Unfortunately, all of them are work related. So none of them. It's like sometimes before a vacation, if I'm like taking a long flight, I'm very anxious. I'll just sit and manifest, the flight was good, I got into the business class, I went to lounge. Like I'll think of all the things I want to do. So for me, that is manifestation, like putting your thought out there and spending some time, and I feel great about it. Like I as I said, I wish I did it more, but I truly believe that it's more about alignment and it's coming from a good place. Yeah.
Right. And like that is what I feel like is beautiful about our podcast. Very different thought process.
Yeah.
I absolutely appreciate that you are happy, you found calmness,
Mhm.
and the success that you are looking for via this method. It may not work for everybody. I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm not able to necessarily see myself doing it because I approach the same topic from a very different angle. And for me, the angle is balance and thoughtfulness more than, of course, I want things to go well. Of course, I want everything to be perfect. But the way I approach it is more like I'll do my best. I'm connected. If it has to connect with the person listening to me, or if it has to connect with whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve, it's going to happen. I will do my best. I will practice the hell out of it. I will be ready. But I don't know. Sometimes you can do the best and it's not going to happen. And so that's where I leave it. And I'll be very disappointed. I'll be very upset if it doesn't happen. I may be very, very happy if it happens, but then time moves on. Either way, time will move on. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and I want to make it very clear, when I manifested, there have been so many times where I've manifested and it hasn't happened. But you make peace with it, right? But there are times when I've manifested and good things have happened. So I choose to keep moving forward with the good things, and I leave behind the things that you
100%.
know, didn't
100%.
happen, because I cannot sit and think about it. That's like a waste of everybody's time, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this other, like, I just want to add, like, there's this other angle to spirituality that I have only just started discovering, and it has given me another level of peace. But it's a long journey. I don't know if I'll ever complete it. The idea of just being, just being. It's a very difficult concept to internalize because in the world that we live today, and if you want to really survive and thrive, you cannot just live with that. So you have to find a balance of when you're just being and when you're really hustling. And the idea of just being is there is no reason. You're achieving nothing. Everything is a story you're creating. You would have been fine whether you reached there or didn't reach there, achieved this or didn't achieve this, because you are you. Like it's a state of thoughtlessness where just because you are here, you are very important. You are critical to the universe just because you are here. You do not have to prove anything, do not have to do anything. Of course, we all want to do something. Of course, we all want to have goal. And I continue to want to do it. And that's what keeps me happy and excited, but also understanding that just being would have been just as great. I don't need anything else, anybody else, any achievement, any feathers gives me the kind of peace that nothing else would give me.
That is hard.
Very hard.
That
Very,
is so hard. It's like you have to change your wiring.
very hard. It's so hard because like, my brain has now got wired to achieving something for the world to see,
Mhm.
or showing something off, or telling somebody, look what I did, even if it's to my husband. Like, did you know I did this? Oh, look at the sunset. It's not like, it's not enough that I'm looking at the sunset. I must photograph it, or I must tell my husband about it. And
Yeah.
even it's a little thing. And I truly like to share things with my husband. It gives me joy. It's not like I'm trying to validate anything. But even that, how can I not just be and see, for myself?
Yeah, that's hard. It's I don't know if it's human nature. Like with my sharing anything with my partner, I just feel like the reason we are married or the people are together, like partners, you're supposed to share your life with somebody. Like that's a concept of marriage for me. It's like you see the sunset. It was like, all right, you have your partner, see the sunset, we'll see it together. But doing it alone, that's a different level of spirituality that you are so comfortable with witnessing everything alone and not being eager for any kind of appreciation. Yeah, that is. I hope I get there,
Very
but
hard,
that's hard.
very
Yeah.
hard. And again, if like, what I've learned is, if I keep trying, it's not going to happen, because then I failed the very concept of it. It somehow has to be experience. So it has to be, there's a word for it, like experiential. That's where it has to come from. And it can, if you just let it go,
Mhm.
if you just realize the basic tenets of life, which is to say, you are either nothing, like you are stardust, or you are everything, because had you not been there, how would the universe have been there? Like, you can you can look at it from any perspective, and that gives you, like, for me, peace and joy, peace and calmness and joy are the most important things, and that's what gives me that.
And it's also practice. I like there's one thing that I've started doing is initially, if you're saying something, like you said, if you're talking to me, you are present with me, just listening to me. Initially, what I would do is when somebody is saying, instead of giving that person 100% attention, I'm thinking of what I should say next,
Hmm.
or I'm like thinking of what should be my next question, what should be my next sentence. I have It takes a lot of practice to not do that. Like when you're saying something, I'm not thinking of what will be my next question, what will be my next sentence. I am totally listening to you. And what that means is I should also be comfortable with silence, because now, because I'm 100% present with you, I need a couple of seconds or millisecond to gather my next thought and speak.
Yeah.
So that's like the level. And maybe it's a corporate culture we are in, because in meetings, I was trained to not have uncomfortable silence. So I'm like always trying to fill it up in meetings, or when I'm leading something, is like, oh, everybody's silent. That means, we don't have, there's nobody assertive in this, or nobody is taking points, or, something like that. It's like, it's like the everyday hustle at work had trained me to do that. I'm kind of undoing it, and kind of being, this is all being more present, right? We are all talking about being more present. So yeah, I mean, it is obviously experiential, or whatever word you use, but it's also a little bit of practice. Like, how do we get closer to where we want to be?
So true. So true. I mean, the speed of our lives,
Yeah.
particularly in, at work and in corporate culture, is such that pause, patience, and time, spending time, is not appreciated. Everything is about speed. And so when you are talking to somebody else, gotta keep moving fast, 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 and talk as fast as quickly, otherwise somebody else will speak up.
Mhm.
And I, like, so yeah, true. Like, if you're truly listening, if you're truly getting it, and when you do speak up, you'll probably have something better to say. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. uh,
This was such an interesting conversation. I didn't expect it.
all right. I did want to end, Neha, with one last question. And how are we trying to raise our kids with a sense of spirituality? So, do you want to give us a gist of how you are or what you did? Now, Aryan is adult. Like, did you do anything special when he was kid, or what are you doing right now?
Yeah, this is interesting. And now I kind of get how our parents, try to instill the idea of rituals in us because they probably couldn't verbalize things about spirituality for a child. And so there's like, light the diya, fold your hands, let's offer flowers. um, and they hope that in our heart we are feeling that. But I do remember, get back to my son, but I do remember our dad, papa, he used to have this poster in his bedroom where he had all of this. It's called Gita Kasar. Don't know how to translate it in English. Gita is a very famous Indian scripture, and basically had some words written in Sanskrit in his bedroom, and you couldn't avoid it. Like the moment and I was very much into reading, so the moment I'd enter his bedroom, I'd read that thing, which is, I won't go into what it said, but it said something, and if I now realize it was the ultimate spiritual thing to read.
Do you remember what it said, Didi, in Hindi? I remember it was something like, "Na tum kuch leke aaye the, na tum kuch leke jaoge." In English,
आत्मा ना
it
मर सकती है ना
means,
जिंदा हो
it's like you
yes
came with nothing and you're going to leave the world with nothing. And
yes
yeah,
yeah,
something.
your soul is what you have.
Yeah.
So exactly, yes, it was along those lines. And but I now get why our parents had such a tough time giving that concept. I do wish it was taught more at school or more effort was paid to get that, because it's not, you don't naturally get it. And so now to the tougher question of how I helped my son get it, I didn't really, because I myself didn't understand it until I hit close to 40. And for me, unfortunately for me, it was a lot of like, what do I, how do I explain it to him when I don't get it? But what I did was I understood the response to a good spiritual practice, which is, let's be kind, let's respect everything and everyone. um, you know let's keep our mind open, let's be connected. Like those were a few principles that I tried to get into my son through different things. So for example, music, I do believe, is like, music is one of those things that fill your soul. You don't have to think too much, you move with it, right? Music and dance are those things, very spiritual things. And so I did get my son. This is Millie. She's sitting with us in the podcast, and when she feels like this person is talking too much and not paying attention to me, she starts moving her body and her tail. So that's what's happening. So my son, like that's, I got him into piano classes. I got him into music as much for his future life, so that he starts appreciating music. And I am very grateful that he did in his own way. It's not like he's a great pianist or anything, but he knows how to play piano. He appreciates music, truly gets music very well, very well. Whatever music he likes, he goes deep into it, he gets it. And I love that about him. So he's got creative that way. The same thing about connection and kindness. I feel like maybe I talked about it, and however I showed it through my love for animals. And so when we got Millie, when he was about 10 years old, I can see his connection. I can see how he feels, how much the depth of his emotion and his love for Millie. And that gives me great joy. So I wouldn't say I was able to instill in him any practice of meditation or really thinking about the universe and so on. But I do feel like I hope I got him to understand kindness and connection, which are versions of spirituality.
You're not giving yourself enough credit. I mean, for me, spirituality is all about, you know, helping a child connect with something. And I remember, because I saw all those stages, you helped him get so curious about anything and you really fostered that, like Harry Potter. If you remember that stage, he probably showed interest in it, or you helped him get interested. I don't know the history, but you would read to him every single day those thick books you guys read. You took him to the Universal Studio. He was Harry Potter for Halloween for so many years. So for me, that is like being connected to something you're curious about, right? And the same thing about health and fitness. And he obviously, that was his curiosity, and you helped him get deep into it. And he went from a person who was not very aware of what he should be eating, how he should be taking care of health. And in his teenage years, he got curious, he got connected. Like that was his spirituality. I'm pretty sure that helped with his mental health too. He would take that 1.5 hour to exercise, do cardio, learn about protein and nutrition. He would make you cook all of those meals. Like that is spirituality. I mean, it's not just meditation, right? That's the something for me. Again, for me, spirituality is self love, self care, prioritizing yourself, and making space for things that matter. And that's what I see in him. So for me, actually, tell you the truth, Aryan is a very, very spiritual person.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I see him. Like I've seen him from very childhood, and what he believes in, he believes in. And he will stand for that. Like if you say something against it, he will make sure he expresses. He's not afraid to be opinionated. So yeah, to each their own. So it's perfect. Like I have a 6 year old. It's very hard to help help him understand spirituality, but like we do it through examples. Like my husband and I would sit quietly meditate, and if he's trying to like run around do something, we tell him this is a quiet time, respect it, we are trying to calm our mind. So now he's trying, he's getting it in his own funny way. He sits like cross leg and he tries to do the same. And then one other thing for me, spirituality is also about being kind and grateful. So that's like a bedtime routine. We talk about the high point, the low point, and one thing that you're grateful for. And a lot of times, like, I don't know, there was nothing that good happened. And then I would say, I would give an example, like, today I tried a new recipe. And I'm so glad that you and Papa both liked so much that we all ate it so well. So I'm so grateful that I was able to cook a nice meal and everybody enjoyed it. So now he started getting, oh, so that is what gratefulness means. So I'm trying to help him understand. The other thing is helping him feel connected to something like nature. Like we go outside, have nature walks, and I just tell him, soak it in. That's the thing. I think, like, even when we are riding in the car, I open the window and I tell him to take his hand out, and I'm like, feel the air, soak it in. It's fresh air. You're so lucky to live here where there's like so many trees, and there is like a cool breeze. It is we're very fortunate. Let's be grateful. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll work or not, but for me, like raising a kid with curiosity, kindness, gratefulness, and giving him space to connect to anything that he wants to connect to, whether it's a Star Wars stage, Sonic, or anything else, like helping him have his own path is spirituality for me.
That's beautiful. And I do think Vikram is a very, very sensible and sensitive child. And to a great extent, it's because of the habits that you're instilling in him. And I've seen him, like, because you do yoga most days, the fact that he understands yoga is a thing and it can and should be done because his mom's doing it is in itself a path towards it. And then to your point, he sees you and Siddharth sit down on a meditative pose.
Mhm.
And so he knows it's a thing. It's
Mhm.
not something to be laughed at or not something that nobody should do. So he sits, so he's gonna grow up with it. And that's the thing that I was talking about when I said I wish more schools had it, and we as growing up either learned or were able to teach our kids, because then for kids it's not a novelty that they have to learn from scratch. They grew up with, like, you and I, we were lucky in the sense that especially in India there is a very strong thread of spirituality, I feel, right? Like the whole idea of gurus and yoga and spiritual leaders and I'm forgetting the term sadhu, so we know these things exist. So for us, it's not a strange or a foreign concept. We just had to find our own self,
Yeah.
knowing that exists. And so I'm so glad, like, our kids also now know that exists and will hopefully find themselves or have started to find themselves. That's the best we
Exactly.
can wish for.
And that's what we talked about in our Diwali episode too. What we can do is we can expose our kids. They will have their own journey. So it's like spirituality isn't following a rule book, it's about finding that you can connect to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, totally. And so, yeah, I mean, I think spirituality also doesn't have to look the same every day. Sometimes it's meditation. Like I said, sometimes for me it's music and dance, and sometimes it's just laughing. But being surrounded with it and being in its presence is a thing of incredible joy.
And we would love to hear what spirituality means to you. Is it like prayer, a purpose, or something in between? Whatever it is, please leave us a comment, message us. We love hearing from you. And you can find us anywhere you find your podcast and leave us a comment, interact with our podcast post. It really helps us.
Yeah, and totally inspires us because we absolutely love chatting and helping everybody on topics that sometimes can feel not things that people talk about, but I feel like we gain a lot when we do talk about. So, great chatting with Unity.
All right.
We'll come back
See you all
later.
next time. Bye.